Yeah, I have a good example for that, right? So social life is very important. If you go on YouTube, there's like a video, right, of a neuron, right? Just type in neuron, like isolated neuron,
Okay.
and what you see is that that neuron is like reaching out to try to grab to other neurons, right? So the way when I see that, I'm like, that's us. Like that one neuron, in order it for to survive, it needs to make connections with other neurons. So being social is very important for the mind, right? Having connectivity with others is very important, right? So that microcosm of what we see as a neuron represents to me us as like humans. You need social contact. You need to be able to socialize with others. And
Why
then
though?
it's I think it's just part of our like makeup. I
Mm.
think it
Of our DNA.
stimulates
Yeah.
the brain. Being isolated sometimes is not a healthy uh it's not a healthy thing to isolate yourself too much. With this day and age, like right, like some people do flourish being isolated. I'm not saying this is an absolute,
Mhm.
but what I'm saying is that I feel like there are studies that talk about when you socialize with others, how it stimulates the brain, and brain stimulation is key, right? For health, for Alzheimer's, for dementia, right? You
Mm.
need to stimulate the brain through any type of activity, whether it's like going to parties and talking to people or doing like events where you like running club, right?
Yeah.
An exercise. What is exercise? You're stimulating the brain. It's blood flow through the brain when you do these weird movements. You told me that you did kinesiology,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Right. So you know, understand that movement is key. And when you do these all these weird movements like dance, obscure things, you're stimulating different parts of the brain, and that stimulates blood flow.
So
Right.
you
So
encourage people to step outside their comfort zone with their fitness.
100%,
Yeah.
right? As long as you're doing it safely.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
When your stress is good, right? But obviously, if the stress is painful, that's not good stress. But if you're, it's like when you do yoga and you stretch just enough where you feel the tension, that's like the sweet spot. But when you go a little over and you start feeling pain, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
that's no bueno,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. That's a
Y-
good example right there.
Yeah. So you need, and that's good. That you need stress. Stress is good for the body. Right?
I
Good
want to go back to
stress.
sleep because I like that analogy you gave of like the vacuum cleaners coming in your head.
Yeah.
I think of it kind of like an iPhone battery. Like, and I'm when I'm at a long day after work, I'm at like 10%. I'm at like 7%. I'm slowly hitting 6, 5, 4 as I'm watching a movie
Yeah.
on my bed, and then I'm recharging as I'm sleeping. But when I don't get those 8 hours, I mean, I feel like crap.
Yeah.
So talk about how important sleep is.
Yeah, sleep, I mean, from a perspective of men's health, it's the first thing that you need to address again. I've seen people's testosterone shoot down like 200 points just because of bad night's sleep. And that's not to digress too much, but also not to get caught up too much on blood work either, because sometimes people do blood work and then they identify with that blood work that one time, but it's just a snapshot of what's going on. Um, Blood work is best when you do it continuously, and then you start to see the patterns.
Mm.
But some people do get caught up on like the numbers and they're like, oh, but really it could have just been like a bad night. But going back to the sleep, so testosterone, right? Hormonal health is important. Again, it helps with growth, muscle growth, and it helps with inflammation, right? And it helps with decreasing these risk factors like these diabetes,
Mm.
pre-diabetes, right? Like you need to emphasize sleep, so it's a must.
So for the average working American, who, clocks in at, let's say, 8 o'clock, leaves around 5, long, office working American. How can those type of people who spend a lot of time at the office
Yeah.
optimize their health within that kind of confined schedule? Because it can be difficult for people to get outside when, they get off work late. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it. I mean, you have to make sacrifices, but 7 to 8 is still like I think it's doable.
Yeah.
Um, but there are gonna be people that do run better that can get 6 hours of sleep and still be fine.
Mhm.
Right? These aren't like absolutes. These are just guidelines. Just
Mhm.
be like you should hit it around that much. And then yeah, but it's tough. I know like you still have to compromise with the patient too. Like if a patient says I can't do that, then maybe find other ways to kind of
Mhm.
help
Problem
compensate.
solve.
Yeah, to help with health. I mean, that's where you could look at like creatine too. Creatine helps with
Creatine's
cognition.
great. Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, you also want to help the brain, right? Cognition, omega 3s help with cognition too, right?
Mhm.
So, like, the EPA, DHA, right? The ratios and why those are important. Like, when you see omega 3s, it says EPA heavy or DHEA. EPA is more for inflammation, just so you know that. And DHEA is more for brain function and health and mitochondrial health. So, depending on like what you're shooting for, you should also kind of like gauge like,
Mhm.
if I want more brain health, right?
Mhm.
Go for a DHA heavy omega 3 supplement.
Gotcha.
If you want something
Gotcha.
that's more for inflammation, you go for the EPA.
Oh wow.
That
I
Yeah.
want to go back to the Prime Fuel Kitchen.
Yeah, yeah.
What inspired that?
It's just, again, I got it's you are what you eat again, right? And I got sick of seeing the meal preps. Patients were constantly complaining, so they inspired me to do it. And also seeing how much like the diet really has an effect, and you can't out supplement, out medicate your health conditions. Meaning, like, some people, they think that you just take a pill and you're like be okay. You have to put in work through your diet, and then you have to put in work through exercise. Healing and optimization for health is not a passive thing. Like, you have to put a little work into it.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
so do you think nowadays, given social media and how people like to compare themselves to other people, and given how wellness, in terms of wellness and all those stuff that I just said, has it become commercialized or image driven? Like, it is less about wellness, it's more about
Yeah.
how people
So
pursue,
yeah,
you know.
social media probably the worst thing ever existed, but it's also a good thing too. I think you have to take a perspective of it's a tool, right? And you have to use it as a tool, just like how AI is a tool. AI is amazing, right? Um, if you use it as a tool, social media is an amazing way to connect with people. It's an amazing way to learn, and it's an amazing way again to network. But when you start noticing that the social media is having a negative impact on your health, meaning like you start having negative talk, you start comparing yourself to others, you start kind of like giving into other people's facade, because a lot of the times people just put their best face forward when
Yes.
it's not real, and sometimes you acknowledge that, but when you get hit by it every day, every day, every day, every day, something happens and you forget, and then it becomes your norm. You have to take a detox, take a step back, and just again use it as a tool. Don't use it as a lifestyle meaning like don't use it as a way to compare yourself to others, because that's never healthy. Right? Mental health again is on the rise, and I would say social media is playing a big role in that, because um I mean, your generation, like I'm 40, right? I'm 40. I grew up in an era where social media didn't exist, and you guys, I think, grew up in it. You guys were born into it. You guys,
And
so
yeah,
there's a huge,
yeah,
there's like,
yeah,
so I feel for you guys, because you guys don't, I don't think you guys experience what it's like to not have it around.
yeah, yeah.
And so,
Yeah, I noticed that too. Even when we're out, sometimes people are just like glued in their phones, and it's like, what's
yeah,
happened to people? Like they don't even talk. It's like, well, some people do. It's not dead
yeah,
completely, and that's something that is one of the themes of this show is like in person conversation and making friends and connections. And we want to host an event soon that we're working on. But talk about how important is that for health?
it is. It's huge. Um, Again, like there was a study I remember back in the day where it was talking about like just when you see faces, like people having better lives than you,
Mm.
like that is going to have a negative impact on you.
Yeah,
But you don't need a study to do that. You feel it. Like when you see sometimes like consistently over and over again, you're like on social media, you're like, okay, and you see like,
Yeah.
oh, these people are having like time of their, you get the
Yeah.
FOMO, right? And
Yeah.
that's a real thing. FOMO is like now,
fear of missing out. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and so some people really get affected by that. I think getting away from social media, being okay, like detoxing, and then just being out in nature, and just not having it around, not is key to success for your mental health.
So if you were to say, like, if someone was supposed to say reset his lifestyle, reset his health choices, physically, emotionally, mentally, and be more resilient, be more determined, be more disciplined, where should he start?
So like get one more time because there's a lot to
That's a good
take in that
question
picture.
too.
That's a deep. That's so deep. I gotta.
Like I
Yeah.
know we're about close to the end. I gotta hit you with the. I gotta
Yeah.
hit you with the main one. You
No,
know.
that's. But it's a good question.
So my question was, if me or anyone were supposed to reset their
Yeah.
lifestyle,
Like he's in a bad place. How does
I'm
he
in a
have
bad
it?
place, supposedly. You know, I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
230 pounds.
Yeah.
You know,
Not even about the
depressed.
weight.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I just wake up one day. I want to reset my lifestyle. I want to be like more healthier, more determined, more physically fit, emotionally mature, mentally more driven. Where should I start?
I feel like you kind of like mentioned a little bit of it. Like number one, I think therapy is important, right? Talking to somebody doesn't mean you have to talk like go just having someone to talk to and share your thoughts with, whether it's a person or an animal, like
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Even like having a
Service
pet,
dogs.
A
Yeah.
like
dog.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
for real.
That can help your health so much. Having a
Yeah,
dog,
I got
right?
a dog. Like
Yeah.
that changed my life completely. Like,
Oh
I mean,
wow.
ever since I got him, I was like, man, why didn't I get one earlier? But having a companion like that is just like will absolutely change your life in the better. Um, so that's always important. Again, changing your headspace first, right? The negative talk, like being able to spin the mental gymnastics to finding the silver lining in things is crucial for like overall mental health. Um, Talking to other people that are going through maybe your hardships and then starting with just like the dailies, right? If your environment is around you, you feel like there's some type of negative like impact that's occurring through some type of exposure, try to identify it and try to see how you can modify that, right? Whether it because sometimes it's just like you're in an environment that's causing you to kind of have these negative emotions, right? And sometimes a change of location or like being out away
Hmm.
from wherever that's causing this is also important. And again, looking at your nutritional status, never neglect again the blood work because mental health, like a lot of the times you might not realize it, but it comes from deficiencies, right? So if you have a vitamin D deficiency, that could affect your mood. If you have serotonin is off, that could affect your mood. If your B vitamins are off, right? Folate, sometimes people have MTHFR gene mutations, which could cause like bipolar or like mood swings, and they might not be aware of it. So they need to do like blood work. So I would say first thing, do blood work. Go to a doctor, do blood work, right? Then do your lifestyle changes. Have someone to talk to. Start exercising. Exercising is way better than any antidepressant, right? There's always studies on that, but again, it's to me, it's like common sense.
Hmm.
Um, and then listen to your body. Sometimes people don't do that, and sometimes your body's like telling you something's off. You need to listen to your body. So meditate, right, and really hone in on what's going on and try to feel like where is that coming from, try to identify what's going on, and that takes sometimes just like
Self
letting
reflection.
exactly letting all the noise go away and just being somewhere where you could actually like think and then and close your eyes and feel what's going on. That's a good starting point?
That's awesome. That's what I was
Okay.
looking for, and you
Okay.
delivered.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was great. Last question on my end.
Yeah.
If you were to wake up tomorrow and not be a doctor, who would you be?
Where would I be or who would I be?
What would you be
Both.
doing?
Yeah, what you be doing?
I would be on an island somewhere just enjoying like nature and the water. I love being in the ocean. Like the ocean is I love swimming.
Me
Like
too.
I love there's a beach in La Jolla that's my favorite. I'm not going to mention it just because I want to keep it
Secret.
protected, but
Yeah.
that is my like I think I think being in the water is the best and I love just swimming like and it's so I would be somewhere like on an
Like
island.
grounding is real.
Yeah, like being in the ocean.
Because I heard some study that it was like if you take off your shoes and just be grounded for like 20 minutes, that can lower your cortisol literally.
Yeah, so think about the body, right? Like
Yeah.
where it's biochemistry. We
Mhm.
have like there's electrical impulses that we're emitting, right? The heart has an electrical when
Yes.
you do like an EKG,
Yes.
that's electrical signaling, right? Then you map out the brain or you map out the heart through the EKG because like each section and then you see same thing with the brain. The brain has electrical signals. So when you ground, like right, you're connecting to the earth, there's some type of like there's a reset, there's some type of connection going on.
Wow.
If you notice like the ground, certain places in the world, right, where they say grounding is really good, like Sedona, right? Sedona, if you go there, you see the earth, it's red. What is making the earth red? It's the iron, right? And iron, so you're standing on like basically this dirt that's full of iron that's helping you
Oh.
kind of like really connect.
Oh wow.
And then even across the beaches in like Southern California, there's like streaks of like the black sand that has like some magnetic properties too, and that could also, to me, like I feel like I'm much more like
Mhm.
I go into deep thought about these things, and it's yeah much more whimsical about these things, but I'm sure there's like yeah they all have an effect. We're connected to the earth. Let's
Yes.
just like it's we're connected to the earth, so we need the earth. The earth need like so you need to connect with nature.
Quid
It's
pro.
super
Quid pro
important.
quo.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I have one more pretty meaty question that might lead to a little more talk, but I want
yeah.
to close out on this. So, if there was somebody, let's say three things, three foods that people should cut, and that could be a seed oil, it could be a certain brand. You can name drop,
Yeah, yeah.
but I want you to talk about three things people should cut out of their diets as a doctor right now.
I mean, I would say like cereal in the morning.
Okay,
If
so
you're,
cereal's one.
yeah, like the high sugar cereals,
Okay.
right? That's probably not the best thing to be eating in the morning.
Fruit
right?
Loops.
Yeah, Fruit Loops. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like just
Yeah,
memories as a
probably.
kid. So much. I mean,
Yeah.
sugar is gonna make you happy, but
Yeah.
like in the
Yeah.
long run, yeah, the colors
Well,
and all that.
30
stuff.
minutes after you're
Yeah,
feeling
you're
kind
like,
of froggy
"Oh, this
after,
was a
you know?
mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucky Charms was a big part of my childhood.
And Frosted Flakes.
Yeah.
That's kind of ironic considering
Yeah.
what you're doing now.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I mean cereal. But yeah, cut out cereal. Definitely cut out processed foods.
Okay.
Right. So anything that's like boxed.
Okay,
and
but I want it a
stored,
little more specific. So 2 has to be a little more specific than that.
like Oreos.
Okay, Oreos is number 2. All right, what's number 3?
But this is like how to get hate from like these big companies. Like they're gonna be like, why did you no? And then what else?
It's clinically proven, so it's
Yeah,
not-
and then I
Well,
would
there's some guy who goes to McDonald's and he pays people $100 not to go in. Have you seen that?
yeah, I would say, and then also
That's a
stay
lot
away
worse.
from like plastics, right? So
Plastics.
like
Like
they're-
microplastics and stuff?
yeah, those are like super. It's almost unavoidable. It is.
Mhm.
You have to do your best to try to limit them any way you can. A lot of these cups, like yeah, they're laced with microplastics, but
Mhm.
you're seeing studies now coming. They're finding microplastics like in our like testicles, right, in the brain. It's everywhere.
Wow.
So that's why detox is so important now, and like you always want to make sure that you're again the system needs more so this I think with our generation to really be on top of it because we're being exposed to so much that you really need to nurture the body and help detox things because yeah microplastics are no bueno, right, they're showing up everywhere. It's really
Gotcha.
bad. Yeah, so that's a hard one to get away with from though, but
All right, well, on that note, Dr. Firas, anything
Yeah.
you want to say before we close out?
no, just thanks for having me. It was really
course.
fun. I just yeah, I love talking about this stuff, and
Yeah,
we jumped around a lot, but
Yeah.
I just hopefully like the listeners learned something. And
for sure.
yeah, I mean, there's medicine is fun. It's so fun to
Yeah.
talk about, and there's so much to talk about.
I think this
Yeah.
was a very informative session for us as well,
sure.
and I
Yeah.
think for the audience too. But
Yeah.
if someone needs to find you online, is there a website or a
Yeah,
place they can reach out to?
So like my Instagram handle is Firas Mouazzen MDND. And then or it's MND.
We'll tag it below.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could tag it, and then you could or Prime Fuel Kitchen, and you could always follow us on Instagram there, and then you could find, and then that's how we connect. So thank you.
Sweet.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you, Dr. Firas.
Thank you
Everybody
so
else,
much.
sign up for our events coming up. Follow Events by DSL and also subscribe to the YouTube. We'll be
Yeah.
back here next Friday for another great podcast. Thank you
All
so much.
Have a great week.
And a great
Thank you,
weekend,
guys.
everybody.